Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Okay.
Oh.
Yes. Mataji, do we get started in like 5 minutes? Sorry.
Yeah, I believe because 5:20, right?
Yeah.
Mataji, can we start the record?
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to the 7th session of the Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters in 18 weeks. And today our host is Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji. And Mataji will be enlightening us on the 7th chapter, which is known as Knowledge of the Absolute. Please go ahead, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Angelika Mataji. So I welcome everyone again to this 18 chapters and 18 week session. And thank you all for joining so consistently. It's been a great pleasure to be a part of this series. And today we will be looking at chapter 7, which is going to be very interesting because Bhagavad Gita is going to take a new twist with chapter 7. So we'll start off with the prayers, invocation prayers for auspiciousness. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschayateshtarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is going to be a quick overview of chapter 7 actually. But then before we head into chapter 7, obviously we are going to have an overview of chapter 6 to understand where we stopped in our previous class. So anyone remembers what we studied? I mean, the name of the chapter 6, our previous chapter, anyone remembers the title, the name? You can either text or you can unmute and say.
Dhyana Yoga.
Excellent. Yes, Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga was chapter 6. So here is a quick overview of chapter 6. What Dhyana Yoga Okay. So Dhyana Yoga, we first saw about the mind. The mind can be one's enemy or one's friend. A controlled mind is the best friend, and an uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy. And by the process of yoga, one can actually control this mind. Then we saw what Ashtanga Yoga is, the different stages in Ashtanga Yoga, how one has to start with Yama Niyama, which is rules and regulations. Then gradually one progresses to the state of Samadhi. But then Arjuna expressed his inability. He said, it's very hard for me to control the mind and go through this entire process of Ashtanga Yoga. So Krishna told him that the nature of the mind is very hard to control. But then with suitable practice and determination, one can certainly control the mind. Then he also spoke about the success and failure of such a process. He spoke about the destination of an unsuccessful yogi. How a person after short practice actually can again attain a birth either in the family of very rich people or very learned people. And he also spoke about the greatness of a person who actually falls down after a long practice. Even such a person can actually take birth in a family of transcendentalists. So he spoke about this point that there's actually no question of failure in spirituality, because wherever you stop, you will be picking it up from there. Then, after he spoke about this detailed yoga process towards the end, he said, my dear Arjuna, don't worry too much about this. The topmost yogi is actually a bhakti yogi. So that's how he ended that chapter. And we are going to slowly transition into chapter 7 now. Now, chapter 7 is very juicy, very, very interesting chapter. The reason is because we are going to enter Bhakti Yoga. So I'm sure you all like cream cookies, you all like sandwiches, right? I hope it's not dinner time for many of you, because just seeing the pictures, you would get hungry. But then we're going to talk a little bit about food now. So cream cookies, they are so good, right? They're so good. And what is a cream cookie? Cream cookie is 2 pieces of bread, or biscuit. In British English, we call it biscuit. Here you call it as cookie, maybe in the American English. And then there is cream in between, right? There is a filling of cream in between. So all the goodness is actually in that cream filling. That is what makes the cookie really tasty when you look at cream cookies. Look at a sandwich. What is the interesting part of the sandwich? On top there is bread and below there is bread. But all the interesting matter is actually the vegetables and the filling that you have, whether it's mashed potatoes or it is just raw vegetables. It's some sort of a grilled panini with cheese. Whatever it could be, it's the filling that actually makes up the sandwich. And we had this example being told by Her Grace Kirti Dasundari Mataji, even in the previous session, that we'll be actually looking at the center part of the Bhagavad Gita. So in the sandwich, it is the vegetables or the filling that really makes the sandwich tasty. And in the cream cookie, it is the cream, obviously, that makes the cookie tasty. So Bhagavad Gita similarly has the Bhakti Yoga chapters sandwiched between the Karma Yoga chapters and the Jnana Yoga chapters. So this is an overall idea of how the Bhagavad Gita is laid out. The first 6 chapters are predominantly speaking about Karma Yoga. The middle 6 chapters, the cream of the cookie, that is actually Bhakti Yoga, and the last 6 chapter predominantly speaks about Jnana Yoga. Now, when I say predominantly, we all should remember that it is not that it only speaks of Jnana Yoga. The last 6 chapters and the first 6 chapters only speak of Karma Yoga. It is not like that. Actually, Bhakti is through the entire Gita, You have already seen in chapters 3, 4, 5, how again and again Krishna comes to this point that whatever activities you do, ultimately you have to dovetail it in Krishna consciousness. or for the pleasure of the Lord. So this was being told over and over. And similarly, when we do the chapters of Jnana Yoga, which is 13 to 18 of the Bhagavad Gita, the same point will be stressed again and again. Actually, bhakti is through the entire Gita, but there is some special focus. There is some extra sugar, like the cream. The cream has all the sugar, right? So there is some extra sugar in these center 6 chapters, which is chapter 7 to 12. So it's going to be extremely tasty. And, please stay tuned and enjoy these chapters. They're very, very beautifully spoken. So and again, in the previous chapters, we did see the signs of the soul. We saw about how we are not this body, we are the soul. So the nature of the body, the nature of the soul, and the importance of self-realization to understand who you are was being stressed in the previous chapters. And in the 6th chapter specifically, that is the previous chapter, meditation was described. And after Krishna spoke about yoga, meaning union with God through the process of meditation, and he gave all those grand details, towards the end, he ended up saying that yoginam api sarvesham matgaterantaratmana shraddavan bhajate yomam saneyukta tamo mataha. This was 647, grand finish to that chapter. He said, and of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself and renders what? Transcendenting loving service to me. Transcendental loving service. Bhajate yo mam. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So towards the end of the 6th chapter, he finished off saying that it is actually the bhakti yogi, the one who performs transcendental loving service to me, is actually the dearest to me. So that's how we enter chapter 7. So that was the beautiful transition. Anyone remembers the the acronym for chapter 6? What was it?
Easy.
Easy, yes. It was easy, but actually Ashtanga Yoga is very difficult. But what made it so easy? The last verse made it super easy. So now we are going to enter the chapter 7. Chapter 7 titled Knowledge of the Absolute. We said we're going to talk about bhakti, but suddenly again Krishna, he makes us confused by telling that he's going to speak about knowledge. So bhakti and knowledge. So we have to get the connection here. And the acronym here is HEAD. H, verses 1 to 3, is for hearing. E, everywhere, Krishna's presence everywhere, verses 4 to 12. A, to accept or to reject, the choice that we make, verses 13 to 19. And D, demigods, verses 20 to 30. Now, we said that the title of this chapter is Knowledge of the Absolute, but the content is Bhakti. So, how do they fit in? Actually, we should understand that just mere practice of religion is not everything. Sometimes without having the proper knowledge, we just practice without knowing why we are practicing. But a person, a real practitioner, has to have the right knowledge to practice properly. So that's why in one of the purports of this Bhagavad Gita as it is, our commentator, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, he writes a very beautiful statement which makes so much sense. Just think about this statement that he writes. He says, religion without philosophy is sentiment or sometimes fanaticism, while philosophy without religion is just mental speculation. So religion, the externals, is certainly important. Yes, the way we perform the activities in religion, like devotional service, what we do, we raise early in the morning, we perform worship, we do so many things as a part of religion. All that is very important, but it should be guided with proper knowledge. Knowledge from where? Knowledge from the Vedic scriptures. So one should have both knowledge and practice of religion properly. Okay, both go hand in hand. If you just think knowledge is everything and there is no necessity to practice religion properly, then it's just some sort of a mental speculation. You're just getting it out of the air in your head. You're not really following a proper methodology, right? So both religion and philosophy, the philosophy that backs up the practice, both go hand in hand. So before we start off this journey of bhakti, we should first have proper knowledge. And how do we get the proper knowledge? The best way to get knowledge is by hearing. So we have seen this in our previous chapters too, the importance of Shruti. The Vedic knowledge has been handed down through generations through Shravanam, through hearing. In those days, people would not, keep books, written books. That was not the culture. Our Vedic tradition has been handed down through hearing. I mean, there's no harm in writing books. Books are extremely important. Books are the basis of spreading knowledge today. But from time immemorial, hearing has been given a lot of importance. So therefore, Krishna, he decides to reveal knowledge about himself and he invites Arjuna to hear. So that is the first verse of this chapter, an invitation to hear. From whom? From himself. About what? About him. So the best way to understand a person, especially the best way to get knowledge about God, is to hear from God directly, right? Or hear from a person who has realized God. But here, Bhagavan, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Bhagavan himself is calling Arjuna and telling Arjuna, listen to me, I'll tell you about myself. So here he says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga and full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Okay, so now Krishna is going to give us full knowledge, full knowledge. Why do we say full knowledge? Because knowledge is just not knowledge of matter and knowledge of the spirit soul, as we have been seeing so far. The real knowledge is to have knowledge of the knowledge of matter, to have knowledge of the spirit soul, and also have knowledge of the source and the controller of this entire material universe and the spirit soul, right? Who's the source of everything? Who's the controller of everything? Until we know about him, how can you say that the knowledge is complete? So therefore, Krishna is inviting Arjuna now. Now listen carefully. I'm going to tell you about myself. I will reveal some facts about myself. Krishna said, I shall now declare unto you full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. Now, what is phenomenal? Phenomenal means this entire material and spiritual energies. So he's going to speak about his entire material and spiritual energies. And numinous means about his personality and sweetness. And he tells Arjuna, if you just hear about these, both about my greatness as well as about my sweetness, this being known, you will not need anything further to be known, meaning nothing else will remain unknown to you. So definitely God is great. We all know that, right? Oh, God is the controller. He is the creator. God is great. We have heard this over and over. It is important to know how God is great, but that is not sufficient. You have to know how he's so personal, how he's so sweet, what are his qualities. All these must be known, because until we know all these, obviously we cannot connect with a person who doesn't reveal these. We cannot connect with a person whom we do not understand personally, right? So both greatness as well as sweetness is what Krishna says he's going to now speak about. However, immediately in this chapter itself, he's not going to reveal a lot of his sweetness. He's just going to first speak about his greatness. Okay. And after Krishna said that, I'm going to reveal everything to you. He also says that Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschit Yayati Siddhaye Yatamapi Siddhanam Kaschin Mam Veti Tattvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So he talks about the rarity of a person who has realized Krishna's sweetness. Krishna's greatness is easy to realize, but to understand this personality of Krishna, to understand his sweetness is very rare. So Krishna says that it is very rare for a person to have achieved that sort of perfection and know me in real full. Okay, so he also talks about it. Actually, it's very hard for us to understand God by our blunt senses. Our senses are very blunt. How far can we see? I can, probably see the tree that is a few meters away. I cannot see beyond that. How far can I hear? I can just hear a few sounds from my balcony, maybe in the courtyard below. I cannot hear anything more than that. So our senses are very blunt. With our blunt senses, it is extremely hard to understand God. But God can be understood by performing transcendental devotional service to Him. When your eyes are anointed with the salve of love, okay, with an ointment of love, God will be revealed to you. So this is what Krishna is telling here. He's telling here, it is very rare for a person to understand who really I am, my sweetness, but it is somewhat relatively easy to appreciate God's greatness. Okay, we all can appreciate God's greatness. So that's what he's going to start with. He's going to start revealing his greatness. Okay, so this completes section 1. And what is the acronym? The acronym is HEAD. So we have completed H. What's the life lesson for this section? It is very important for us to receive knowledge from the right source. So here Krishna is revealing facts about himself. He's calling Arjuna, come in here, I'm going to tell you about myself, right? So that is the perfect source. Or today we don't have Krishna with us. Like 5,000 years ago, he was present in this world, but now maybe he's not with us in person, but he has his empowered representatives who can give the knowledge as it is. So it is important for us to receive knowledge from the right source. We should not hear the meaning of the Bhagavad Gita from anyone and everyone. It is very important for us to follow the proper disciplic succession. We have covered this over and over in our previous sessions. Just like, you buy a TV, a television would come with a manual, right? The manual is the right source of knowledge, how to operate the television. You can sit and speculate, you can think, you can start experimenting. I mean, today it's so easy to figure out things, right? You can experiment, you can figure it out. But an easier way, a very straightforward, simple process is to open up that manual, just read the instructions and operate the television. Right? So like that, here we have Krishna who's revealing knowledge about himself through the Bhagavad Gita, and we have the support of the disciplic succession. So we should receive knowledge from the right source and the right method. That is the first lesson of this section. The second thing is that Krishna tells that to be a real devotee is something very rare. Though we understand that bhakti is very easy, like we just discussed after hearing Ashtanga Yoga, Krishna gave us such a sigh of relief that the last verse said, among all the great yogis, actually, a bhakti yogi is the greatest. So definitely it appears that it is easy. However, to actually attain perfection in devotional service is something very rare. Why do you think it is rare? It is rare because Krishna becomes subservient to his devotee. He loves his devotee so much that he's ready to do anything for his devotee. So it's very rare, actually. It's very rare to be such a great devotee that Krishna would do something for you. But we should all endeavor. We should all endeavor following in the footsteps of these great souls who have attained perfection. So that was our first section. Now we are going to go into verses 4 to 12. And the part of the acronym is E, everywhere. So now Krishna has told that he's going to reveal his greatness, right? So now he's going to tell us how he is the source of both the spiritual and the material world. And he starts off with this beautiful verse that talks about this material universe. He says, Bhumi rapo nala vayu kammano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakritirashtadha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego all together. These 8 constitute my separated material energies. Everything, this prakriti or this world around you, it is actually made up of what? It is made up of earth, water, fire, air. These are the 5 elements that we know of, right? And ether, of course. These are the different elements that we know of. However, Krishna, he talks about 8. Bhinna Prakriti Ashtada. 8. You see, he tells Ashtada, to all together these 8 constitute. So this mind, intelligence, and false ego, these 3 are very subtle. I can tell you, I can ask you, can you show me your head? You would point to your head. I can ask you, can you show me where your heart is? You can point to your chest. Then if I ask you, where is your mind? Can you point to your mind? It is subtle. It is there. You agree it is there, right? So mind, intelligence, and false ego, they are actually there. They are there. It is very subtle. So these 8 put together, the gross elements and the subtle elements put together constitutes this entire universe. And this entire universe, material manifestation, is also called as Maya Shakti, or it is called as Apara Shakti. Okay. Apara means, we'll compare it with para. Para means great. Apara means something lower. Okay. So of course, anything that is insentient, that doesn't have consciousness, because matter is insentient, right? It is not great, right? So that's why it's called as apara or Maya. Maya, you must have heard. Prakriti, Maya, these terms are very commonly used. You must have heard it randomly in many talks. So first he tells about this material universe, how the material universe is constituted of 8. And what did he say? Separated. Why does he say separated? He says separated because he doesn't get too involved with it, meaning he doesn't get overpowered by this. It is his energy, still it is somewhat separated. Okay, keep that in mind. Then he tells, but there is something that is greater than this Prakriti. And he tells it's my spiritual energy, and it is called as Para Prakriti, meaning the greater one. And that greater one is the living entity. Of course, you look around in this universe, you have the material nature right around you, and you also have so many living entities. There are so many millions of species, 8,400,000 species, scriptures say, in this world. So many different kinds of species of living entities are present. So he tells the next, besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind, which comprises of the living entities. And what are the living entities doing here? They are exploiting the resources of the material inferior nature. Therefore, they are lording over this Aparashakti, so they have become Parashakti. Why? Because they are lording over the material universe. And we should remember, though this living entity, this jiva, you, me, the birds, the animals, the trees, the cockroach, the lizard, the mosquitoes, they are all jiva shakti, they are all living entities. Though they are superior because they are lording over the material nature, still they are controlled. They are not superior to God. They are controlled by God. God is the ultimate source and we are his energies. The energetic is greater than the energy. Just like, for example, you have the sun. The sun's energy is the sun, heat and light, right? What is the meaning of heat and light without the sun? The sun possesses heat and light, right? So the energetic is God and the energy is actually all his different shaktis. Different shaktis like the material universe, the Jiva Shakti, and his whole internal potency, which we are not touching right now. Okay, so we belong to him. And especially these Jivas, all of us, we are called as Tatastha Shakti. Tatastha means marginal. You see this beautiful picture here. It's the picture of an ocean. And the ocean has its beautiful waves. And when the waves come in and go out, what happens to the shore? What happens to the shore? Sometimes the shore gets covered by the water. Sometimes it is uncovered by the water, like in this picture. You see some parts are still wet. The waves come, they cover that portion, then they go back, again that portion is revealed. So like that, this Jiva Shakti, sometimes we are covered, meaning we start associating with the material energy so closely that we get influenced by this material energy because we are that Apara Shakti, meaning we're trying to control the material energy. There is a close contact. continuous contact, close contact. And because of that, there is some influence. There is some influence that we are getting. So we can either be fully spiritual, meaning we can connect with the spiritual energy, or we can remain covered by the material energy. So we are like that shore. We are called as tatastha, somewhat borderline. So if we connect nicely with the spiritual energy of Krishna, then we can transcend the modes, meaning we can become spiritual, but we have a tendency to be influenced by the material energy. So our nature is somewhat borderline. So this is a beautiful flow chart of the inferior material energy and the superior spiritual energy. The superior is the soul and the inferior is the gross and the subtle elements, as we already discussed, the 8, right? 5 plus 3, 8. And then the spiritual souls. These are all the souls. Okay, they are considered as superior. Now, we saw what this material universe is made up of. So Krishna said, these are all my energies. I'm talking about my Parashakti and Aparashakti. The Jivas are present and this universal elements are present. Then, what is the connection between God and this world? Of course, Krishna has created everything. He's the source of everything. But then what is their constant connection? How does Krishna maintain this entire world? So Krishna clarifies here. He says, everything in this world either belongs to Jiva or it belongs to the material universe. However, I am the shelter of both of these energies. I constantly maintain them and I am their shelter. And he says a beautiful verse, Mataha parataram nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya mayi sarvam nidam protam sutre mani ganaiva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything in this world rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Such a beautiful verse. Now, let me ask you, you can text or you can unmute. When you see a pearl necklace, right? What are some thoughts that come to you? You can comment about the thread that connects the pearls and the individual pearls, the beauty of the necklace. Whatever comes to your mind, can you please say a few words? Yeah, Jayesh, you can unmute and talk. Can they unmute?
Asked to unmute, Mataji.
Yeah. Now I'm able to. Yeah, I was neither able to chat and was not able to unmute. So now I'm good. Yeah, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Ji Mataji. So by seeing this pearl, one thing comes in my mind is it's attached by the string. Okay. So the main thing would be like, though the tangible thing, the visible thing is all these pearls, but the main thing I would say is which connects them together. That is the string.
Correct. Perfect. Very nicely said, Prabhu. Anyone else would like to make a comment about the pearl necklace? Feel free. We are just trying to analyze a pearl necklace. It's nothing great, but if you can say a few words, I'll be very happy. Yeah, Surendra, Prabhu. Okay. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Sorry, I was unable to unmute that. So now I'm good. So just like, just an observation, it looks like a multicolored, like, pearls. It looks beautiful, like some purple, some golden color, some white. So, I can associate with the various quality or like, you can say material side of like, in the previous slide, which you are showing.
Right. Yeah, there is a lot of variety. Yes, that is true. That is 100% true. Yeah, each one looks unique. Yeah. Anyone else has anything to say? Okay, so very rightly said, very rightly said that all of these pearls look individually different and all of these pearls are connected by a thread. The thread is not seen, right? Obviously, it's not seen. Only the pearls are seen and the pearls all look beautiful, right? Similarly, actually, these pearls are the different living entities. Each living entity is different and unique. All of us are different and unique and we have our own place. But who's holding everything together? It is Krishna who's like that thread. So Krishna is holding all of us together, this entire material universe together, and he's not obviously seen. But we living entities are seen. We can only understand that Krishna is actually sustaining us. He's present as the Paramatma within, and he's taking care of us. He's present within each and every atom, and he's taking care of this world, but he's not obviously openly seen. But he's holding up everything, just like how that thread actually holds up all the pearls. And each of these pearls are important to him. That's the reason the thread flows through every single pearl. So, like that, Krishna comes within every living entity and he stays with us. Because for him, each one of us are important. Each one of us mean a lot to him. So through every pearl, the string flows and the string holds it up. And each of these are unique, and Krishna loves everyone. So every living entity is extremely important and very beautiful and unique in their own way. So this is a very beautiful analogy of the pearl necklace. And Krishna says, there is no truth superior to me. Actually, everything is resting on me. I'm holding up everything. Just like how pearls are strung on a thread. So he is not only the source, but he's also the sustainer. He takes care of everything. And he takes care of it in a way that he might not be obviously openly present in front of you, but he's always there behind each and everything that is there in this universe. So he says, I actually maintain this world. I'm the cause and I'm the source. And then in the next few verses, he tells how he's the basis of everything. So he says, oh son of Kunti, I am the taste of water. What is the essence of water? Water has this unique quality called as taste. Taste, right? So when you drink water, any water, you take it from a freshwater source or a river or a well, wherever you get water, every water has a unique taste. So Krishna says, I'm the taste of water. I'm the light of the sun and moon. What can you appreciate about the sun and moon? The sun and moon gives us light. So he says, I am the essence of the sun and the moon. So I am the light of the sun and the moon. I am the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras, because that's how this entire universe was actually created. He says, I'm the sound in ether, I'm the ability in man, I'm the natural fragrance in earth, I'm the heat and fire. So anything you look around in this world, Prakriti, or even in human beings, whatever is good, whatever is needed for this entire world to be sustained, Krishna is the essence of that. I am the strength of the strong. I am the intelligence of the intelligent. I am the prowess of a powerful man, and so on. Okay, so we are seeing about Krishna's energies. Now, these energies, both the Jiva Shakti as well as this material universe, they are all within the three modes of material nature, meaning they are, under the control of the three modes of material nature. What are the three modes of material nature? Sattva, Rajas, and Tamo gunas. So we saw the concept of gunas in one of our previous sessions. So everyone is somehow entangled by these three modes of material nature. So does it mean that Krishna is also entangled by these three modes of material nature? No. Krishna is very clearly telling that he is the source and he is the controller, but he always remains separate. He remains separate. He doesn't get entangled within these three modes of material nature. So he's not under the influence of material nature, but everything is his energy. So that's how this section completes. And in this section, we have some life lessons. Now, there is a common challenge that people ask. If you're a person of any faith, the first question by atheists would be, can you show me God? You talk about God, you say, oh, God is there with me. All glories to God, and you keep glorifying God all the time. Can you show me God? So the first thing here, Krishna makes it very clear, is that God is not to be seen through our senses, just like we gave the example of the mind. You all have a mind, you all have intelligence. If I ask you, can you show me your intelligence? Can you pinpoint to your mind? Can you do that? You can't do it, but you can understand, or you can realize, or you can have the sensation that you have a mind, right? So similarly, God can be realized. He can be realized, but technically, he is beyond our senses. He's called as Adhokshaja. He's beyond our senses. But can he at all be seen by our senses? Can he at all be felt by our senses? Yes, he can, if he desires to. Like we saw in one of the previous slides, if there is enough love and devotion in the eyes of the person, Krishna, if he decides to reveal himself, he can reveal himself to us. Okay, but it is actually very illogical to say, I can't see God, so God doesn't exist. Just like it's as illogical to say, I cannot see mind, so I don't have a mind, right? Like that. So we cannot make the statement that I cannot see God, hence God doesn't exist. Now that's the first thing. The second thing is that one may say, okay, you spoke about this Prakriti, you spoke about nature. Oh, Krishna himself, he gave a huge list of how he's present everywhere. He said, I'm in ether, I'm the light of the sun, I'm the taste of water, and he spoke so much about nature. So God is nature. So why can't I just worship nature? Why should I worship God in a temple, right? Why should I worship God as a deity? Everyone says I have to go to the temple so that I can see God. So is this really absurd? I mean, like when God is there in nature, why can't we just see nature and worship nature? Common question, right? So let's take two examples. One is the example of a post box. If you have to post a letter to your friend, where would you go and put the letter? You would put the letter in a post box so that it is the postman will come to the post box, pick up the letter and deliver the letter to the right person in the right address. Now, why should you put the letter in the post box only? Because it is authorized, right? It is an authorized place where you can send a letter. Therefore, since it's authorized by the government, you will follow the rule. Similarly, deities, when we worship deities in the temple, this is an authorized place. This is an authorized form in which the Lord readily descends himself for us, just for our own worship. He comes by his own free will to accept worship from us very graciously. So therefore, it is an authorized form. That's the reason why we go to a deity and we worship the deity. Another thing, just like we have air everywhere, right? Air is present everywhere. It just goes everywhere. Nook and corner of this world, there is air. Okay, now one may say air is there everywhere. Why should I fill in air inside a tire to make it run? I can just keep the tire open and I can say air is everywhere, let the tire run. Will it run? No, it will not. For a car to run, you need a tire and the tire should be filled with air, right? So you forcibly pump in air inside the tire and make it functional like a tire and you fit it to the car and then you make it run. So like that, you're personally inviting God to reside in a deity and you worship the deity, though God is present everywhere. Because just now we saw, oh, Krishna is present everywhere. He says, I am present in the sun, in the moon, in austerity, whatnot. He says everything. In power, in intelligence, everywhere he is present. But specifically, he comes and he resides inside the deity, and that's the reason why we worship him in the deity form in the temple, just like how we purposely add air, we pump in air inside the tire of a wheel and we fit it to a car to make it run. Okay, so these are two challenges commonly we are faced with, and these are the answers. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next part, which is A, to accept or to reject. And these are verses 13 to 19. So just now we saw that Krishna is beyond the modes, he's transcendental. And we, this material energy, we jivas, we are all conditioned. We are all conditioned and we are within these three modes of material nature. And because we are in this modes of material nature, we get deluded by these modes of material nature. We are this tatastha shakti, meaning we are constantly getting covered by this material energy. But is there a way that we can also transcend? Can we also transcend and reach Krishna through transcending these modes of material nature? So Krishna says, yes, you can. And he talks about a very, very, very nicely. He says, Daivesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mami vaya prapatyante mayam netam tarantite. He says this divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature is very difficult to overcome. It's very hard. I understand your problem. It's very hard. But those who have surrendered unto me can cross beyond it. Simple formula. He says, surrender unto me. I will take care of you. Why do you worry? Surrender unto me and I will help you. Just like if supposing a person is bound by a rope in his hands, okay? You've seen these cases of kidnapping. So what do? They tie up the hands of that person, they tie the eyes, and then they tie the mouth, and then they carry him away, and he's kidnapped. Now, if a person is kidnapped and his hands are tied, his eyes are tied, and his mouth is tied, how is he going to release himself? It's very hard for him to release himself. The only way he can release himself is if someone from outside understands that this person is kidnapped, I should help this person, and he somehow gets in and takes off that rope, right? If someone helps him, if someone comes from outside and takes off the rope, then this person can be released. So like that, we are all here, we are all tied up. So just by our own endeavor, it's very hard to get released. By our own endeavor, when our mouth is tied, you don't have a blade, you don't have a piece of glass to cut off the rope. It's very hard. But if someone from outside can come and help, who's free, right? The person who's helping is obviously free. This person who's coming to help you, he doesn't have his hands tied up. He's completely free. So that person is coming and he's helping you means it makes sense. You can get released. So like that, Krishna is released. He's beyond the modes. He's not controlled by these modes. So he is the one who can come and untie you. So what should we do? We should just surrender to him. Ask him and he will help us. So Krishna very clearly says, this divine energy of mine, the three modes of material nature, very hard to overcome. But if you surrender unto me, I will help you. You can easily cross beyond these modes of material nature. Now, why don't everyone surrender them? It seems simple, right? Why do people not surrender? Why do people not, accept Krishna, accept God and say, Krishna, you're everything, help me, and surrender to Krishna? Why? Because we all have a free will. Krishna has given us free will. You fly your own plane. He's given you free will, and with your free will, you can decide whether you want to surrender or not. And there are four kinds of people who generally do not surrender. These are called as dushkritina. And Krishna says, these four kind of people, and he quotes them, and he says they generally are not interested in surrender. Who are they? These miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So the first set are called as moodas. So Krishna says, Namam dushkritino mooda. Who are moodas? Moodas are animalistic fools. That means they are people who are only interested in doing a lot of hard work, like the donkey, like the ass, who's a beast of burden, right? He carries these heavy loads. Why? Just because he needs a little grass to chew on. So like that, there are many people in this world who do a lot of hard work just so that they can get a little money. And they're not interested in knowing the science of the soul. So such people who are just engrossed in such kind of labor, where they're only interested in the body, they're not interested in anything else. They're just interested in a little wealth so that they can feed themselves. They're not worried about anything else. Such people are called as moodha. They are called as animalistic fools because they really don't want to care about the soul. The next set of people are called as naradhama, the lowest of mankind. They have some interesting knowledge, like they have their social responsibilities, they have political responsibilities, but then they don't care about religion or religious principles. They are not worried about dharma. They are not worried about Krishna. They are not worried about knowing God. So these people are called as naradhama. In spite of having some sort of a civilized life, still they fail to partake in religious principles. They are not interested in knowing God. The next set of people are called as Maya Apahrita Jnana. They are the deluded speculators. These are great philosophers, poets, and great thinkers. They are too proud. They think they know everything. They know everything about this material world, and they keep talking, and they consider themselves to be the knower of everything, but they don't even inquire unto the soul, or they don't even inquire unto God. So these people are called as Maya Apahrita Jnana. And the last set of people are the open atheists. They are Surin Bhava Ashritaha, demoniac atheists. They are too open. They are like, I'm an atheist, I don't care for God. So there are four kinds of people. Not everyone necessarily will surrender because everyone has a free will. So there are four sets of people in this world who generally do not surrender. However, good news, there are four sets of people, four sukritinas, who actually surrender. These are called as Sukritina, or the pious people. And Krishna very proudly, happily talks about them. He says, Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna artho jignasu artharti jnani cha bharatashabha. Oh, best among the Bharatas, four kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. So he gives four sets of people, and we'll see each one of them with an example. The first one is Artha. Artha means one who's distressed. You see the picture here, and the first picture shows a picture of Gajendra. Our Puranas, they talk about this elephant who was caught by the jaws of a crocodile. And this elephant, he was trying to fight with this crocodile for several thousands of years. But then eventually he started offering prayers to the Supreme Lord. He was very distressed. He was very pained, but ultimately he surrendered to the Supreme Lord. He took a lotus flower and offered it to the Lord, and the Lord came running to rescue him. So he was the one who was distressed. He turned to Krishna. He turned and he surrendered to Krishna, and Krishna came and helped him. So that is the first set of people. Generally, we see in this world, there are many people who are distressed, right? Out of distress and out of problems, they turn to Krishna. They turn to Krishna, they develop faith, and they keep practicing, and ultimately they have pure surrender, and Krishna helps them. So this is the first set of people. The second set is called as Artharti. Artha means wealth. You all know that, right? So a person who is desirous of wealth, and a classic example from our scriptures is Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva, when he was just about 5 years old, he had an intense desire to have wealth more than his great-grandfather, who happened to be Brahma, who happened to be the engineer of this entire universe, and he desired wealth. I mean, he just wanted a kingdom greater than him, because he was refused a seat being a person who was searching after wealth. But then ultimately he attained devotion. The next set of people are the Jignasu. Jignasu means inquisitive. So many people, they come to this path of devotion, path of bhakti, because they're inquisitive to know. They're inquisitive. What are these people doing? Why should you do this? So like that, out of inquisitiveness, they come and then they pick up devotional service. Like the sages of Naimi Sharanya. Who are these sages of Naimi Sharanya? They are the people who heard the Srimad Bhagavatam from Suta Goswami, a great sage who spoke the entire Bhagavatam. The reason they were inquisitive and they heard the Srimad Bhagavatam is that they were very pious people, very pious people, great sages, of course. They were performing great sacrifices for the benefit of this entire universe. But nothing was, beneficial in the age of Kali. They were thinking, what is this? Nothing is progressing nicely. So at that time, when they saw Suta Goswami, they went and asked him, so tell us, what is the ultimate good in this age of Kali? That inquisitiveness made them hear the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, and they developed devotional service. So inquisitiveness is a great quality. And inquisitive to know the higher good, to know about God, is actually a very good quality that can bring you closer to the Supreme Lord. And the last set of people are actually the Jnanis. Jnanis, they directly just want to know Krishna. They just want to know God. Very clear, very clear. They just want to know God. They do not have too many other material desires like the others. Okay, and a classic example is Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami was a transcendentalist since birth. I mean, he was fixed in the impersonal knowledge of the Supreme Lord, and he was a jnani, meaning he was like so advanced. But ultimately, his life also transformed, and he took up to devotional service. So all these people are magnanimous. They are wonderful people. Krishna is calling them magnanimous. All of them are great because they're going to take up to devotional service. But Krishna says the jnani is the best because he just wants me. He didn't start off with some material desires. However, to come to a very high stage of devotion, it may take time for the jnani, because the jnani could get diverted by attraction to the impersonal Brahman. He can get attracted by other methods of knowledge. So it may take more time for him to come to Krishna. So there is a beautiful verse that Krishna says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapatyante Vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. Says, after many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul, such a Mahatma is very rare. Devotional service is easy. Yes, it is easy. But to actually come to a very high level of devotion and to understand Vasudeva is everything for me without any mix of karma or jnana, to attain pure devotional service and say Krishna is everything, such a great soul is very rare. It may take many births for such a person. So Krishna talks about the rarity of pure devotional service. Now here is a beautiful life lesson for this section. It is the success formula for devotion. Now we spoke about 4 kinds of Sukritinas who come to Krishna. We especially spoke about the Jnani. We spoke about a person who may be distressed, or a person who is seeking wealth, or a person who is inquisitive. How do all of these actually take up to pure devotional service? They take up to devotional service only because they got the association of the devotee. So that is the success formula for all of us. If we really want to advance, the first step we need to do is actually get devotional association. You can again go back to these different cases. Each one of them actually somehow were associated with a devotee, and the devotee showed them the way. In this particular slide, I have put the picture of the 4 Kumaras who were great jnanis. So they were fixed in the impersonal Brahman. Impersonal Brahman means the effulgence of the Lord. It is an impersonal form of the Lord. They don't have the complete understanding of a personal form of the Lord, but they understand that there is some impersonal source and they are fixed in knowledge. Okay. So these little 4 Kumaras who are actually the sons of Brahma, they were great jnanis. But when they smelled the leaf, the tulasi leaf on Lord Krishna's lotus feet, that is when they got transformed, when they got the association of Tulasi Devi, who was so dear to the Lord. When they got that smell in their nostrils, they got completely transformed and they became great devotees. And here are some more examples. Throughout the Puranas, like Srimad Bhagavatam, you would find these fantastic examples of great devotees. Ultimately, a person becomes a devotee only because he gets the association of another devotee. And Narada is the superhero of the Bhagavatam, where he comes everywhere. He's present everywhere to help every other person. Here on the right-hand side, you see the picture of Kayadu. Kayadu is the mother of Prahlad. You all know who Prahlad is. So Prahlad, he was Garbhashriman, meaning he heard the Bhagavatam in the womb of Mother Kayadu. And where did he hear the glories of Krishna in the womb? He heard it from Narada, because Narada gave association to Kayadu. So Prahlad had heard a lot about Krishna, about the Supreme Lord, and that's how he was born as such a great devotee, in spite of being the son of Hiranyakashipu, who hated the Lord so much. And then here on the left-hand side, you have a picture of a hunter, Mrigari, who became a great devotee, so much so that he was not even ready to harm an ant. He was a hunter, but he transformed so much that he was so scared to even harm an ant, to step on an ant, because of the association of Narada Muni and his friend Parvata Muni. So like this, when you get association of devotees, you slowly transform and you develop great devotional service. Now you all can say, I don't see Narada coming around here. How am I to advance? But then we really don't need Narada. We have many devotees, many pure devotees. And in this age of Kali, with the great technology that we have, even through Zoom calls, by hearing Vani, by hearing the words of advanced souls, we can develop great devotion. It is definitely possible. Of course, taking a fraction of a second of their personal association matters a lot, but at least we can start somewhere, right? We can hear and we can also take association when great souls visit our place or visit a nearby place. We can go sit there with them and take their association, and we can advance in devotional service. So devotee association is the success formula in bhakti, in devotional service. The last section is demigods verses 20 to 30. So we saw about surrender, right? We saw about 4 kinds of people who surrender, 4 kinds of people who unfortunately do not surrender. And then we also saw the success formula. Try to take devotee association, you will definitely succeed. Now we spoke about surrender, but what about people who do improper surrender? We're talking about surrender to the Supreme Lord Krishna, because Krishna himself is telling, surrender to me, he's telling. So what about people who do improper surrender? See, in India, we hear about multiple gods, monotheistic religion. That's the that's the impression that people have. Our religion is monotheistic, and it was busted in one of our previous classes, right? Monotheism. We are not monotheistic. We are not. Sorry, polytheistic. Forgive me for that mistake. We are not polytheistic. We are monotheistic, right? This was clearly spoken in one of our previous sessions. However, people in general are confused, right? We do improper surrenders. We worship devatas or demigods for temporary happiness or immediate happiness. We want something to be fulfilled. So we go to a demigod and we try to satisfy our desires. What happens to them? Krishna says that if they go and surrender to demigods, they'll have to take birth again and again and again and they'll have to keep moving in this material universe. They have to keep moving again and again within this material universe. So that is what Krishna says. However, he says, even if they go to a demigod, what I do to them is that I steady their faith. Because ultimately, the bestower of whatever boon you may ask from a demigod is ultimately bestowed by the Supreme Lord. Just like you see this picture, there is a king and there are his ministers. Each of these ministers are in charge of a particular affair of that kingdom. There could be a finance minister, there could be a minister for human resources. Like that, there could be different ministers. All of these ministers are directly accessible to the public. The public may go and talk to them and get their problems resolved. But who is the ultimate sanctioner? Who is the ultimate sanctioner? Who gives the powers to these ministers? It is the king, right? So like that, these demigods, they are like cabinet ministers. Okay, so if we want a problem to be solved, we may go to them. But remember, the ultimate sanctioner is Krishna. The ultimate sanctioner is the Supreme Lord. He is the one who's giving the power even to these demigods, because even these demigods are jivas like you and me. Brahma is also a jiva. Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, all of them are jivas. Ultimately, who's controlling all these jivas? Ultimately, it is Krishna who's controlling these jivas. Whatever power they have, even that is actually coming from the Supreme Lord. And remember the other myth that we busted earlier. We think that you can worship anyone and ultimately everyone attains perfection. No, Krishna says, if you have diverse worship, you go get diverse destinations. If you worship Indra, you go to Indra Loka. If you worship Chandra, you go to Chandra Loka. You cannot get out of this material world by worshipping demigods. If you want to attain perfection, if you want to get rid of the cycle of birth and death, you only have to worship Mukunda. Mukunda is the giver of liberation. So only worship Mukunda, then you go back to the spiritual world. Okay. So he talks about improper surrender. Improper surrender is very common. And if you do improper surrender, you just continue to take birth again and again. And again, I am repeating, we are monotheistic. We are not polytheistic. And diverse worship only results in diverse destinations, not in the ultimate destination. Okay, we spoke about people who do improper surrender to demigods. Now, what about these impersonalists? Who are these impersonalists? Impersonalist means people who actually worship the Brahman or the Brahma Jyoti, which is actually the effulgence of the Lord, but they think that God is impersonal. He doesn't have a form. Now, it doesn't stop there. Some people, they go to the extent to think that when the Supreme Lord descends, he is actually influenced by Maya, meaning that his name, form, qualities, all these are an illusion. Ultimately, the only form of Lord is impersonal. And Krishna addresses that issue because it's a very big issue. Krishna directly addresses. He says, Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyate mama buddhaya parambhavam majananto mama avyayam. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. So when Krishna descends, he descends in his transcendental form. It is not that he takes a temporary form and that form vanishes and again he gets absorbed in a Brahma Jyoti. All these philosophy is actually not at all supported by the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is very clear. This is my eternal form. When I come in my eternal form. And some people who are unintelligent, when he spoke about demigod worshippers, he said they are lesser intelligent. But here, when he's speaking about impersonalists, he's saying they're unintelligent. So he's very direct here. And he says that they think that I've assumed this temporary personality. But that is not true. Because of their small knowledge, they don't know my higher nature. Actually, God, he's present in three features. He's present as the impersonal Brahman. He's present as the Paramatma in everyone's heart. And he's also Bhagavan in his personal feature. Right? So we cannot dismiss the personal feature. The personal feature is more important than any other form of the Lord. Okay. Now, if God is so personal, right? He's so personal. Then why can't everyone see him all the time? I mean, why can't he just be personal with everyone? So there Krishna says, yes, I'm very personal. I have a personal form. I come in my I give darshan, I do all that. But then I have the right to reveal myself when I want to reveal myself. Krishna reserves his right of revealing himself. Krishna says, I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know who I am. I am the unborn, I am the infallible, and they don't understand this. Just like when Krishna was present 5,000 years ago, Duryodhana didn't realize who Krishna is, right? Did he realize even who Krishna was? He was an offender. He didn't realize who Krishna was. On the right hand side, you see the picture of the sun covered by a cloud. When you see the sky, the clouds are moved actually by the sun. You know, the sun is responsible for the movement of the clouds. Okay. But sometimes what happens is it appears that the sun gets covered by a cloud and then you all feel a relief from the hot sun, especially because I am living in this part of the country. It's very, very hot here sometimes. And when there is a cloud that passes by and apparently covers the sun, I feel so much relief. I feel like this is great. Now think about it. When the cloud goes and covers the sun, is the sun really getting covered or is our vision of the sun getting covered? It is our vision of the sun getting covered because the sun is so much far away from the cloud, right? It is so much far away. Can an insignificant cloud go and cover the sun? It is not possible. It is our vision, right? Similarly, Krishna has that right. He is the one who's moving the clouds, okay? Meaning the sun is moving the clouds. So he is the one who has the right to do anything he wants. But ultimately, it's our vision that gets covered if we are very foolish and intelligent. Sometimes when we are foolish and intelligent, we don't have the right vision to see God. Krishna is very personal, but he reserves his right. That is what he's saying with this cloud analogy. Okay. So Krishna, he knows everything. He knows the present, he knows the past, he's the all-knower, he's the Supreme Lord, he's the controller of everything. He's also very personal, but we living entities, we are delusion from time to time. We just get covered and we don't see God in the right way, or we refuse to see God. However, by engaging in devotional service, Krishna again emphasizes, he says, by engaging in devotional service, you can cross over this delusion. All that you need to do is take shelter in devotion, and definitely you will cross over this illusion. And here is an analogy of an iron rod. So an iron rod, just hold an iron rod and keep it in the air, just leave it there on the table. What will happen? Nothing will happen to the iron rod. It will just be as cold as ever. But then you take the iron rod and put it in fire and take it out like it's in the picture. This iron rod becomes as good as fire. It's as hot as fire. It will just burn you. It is as good as fire. So similarly, what we need to do, we are actually different. We are very, very different. We are covered by the modes of material nature. We are insignificant jivas. We are made of something totally different, right? But if we constantly get our connection with that fire, if we get our connection with Krishna, then we can also actually transcend these modes of material nature and become spiritualized. Okay, we can become spiritualized when we take association of the spiritual, the one who's spiritual, which is Krishna and his advanced devotees, just like an iron rod placed in fire. So how do we take shelter? How do we take shelter of Krishna? By hearing about his glories, about hearing the word of the Bhagavad Gita, about hearing from the Srimad Bhagavatam that talks about him, about chanting his holy names, thinking about him, and so on. We can ultimately attain perfection by taking his association. Then, after he says all this, he ends this chapter with two interesting verses. He talks about a set of devotees who are called as Moksha Kama devotees. He spoke about Sukritinas, meaning the pious people. He spoke about Dushkritinas, who are the impious people. Then he gave you the formula to actually transcend this world by taking shelter. And then towards the end, he talks about a set of people who are interested in actually getting liberated. So who are these people and what is the statement that Krishna makes? Now, these two verses are important because these two verses give the link to chapter 8. Okay, this Bhagavad Gita is so perfectly structured. Of course, it is the perfect science, right? Perfect theistic science. So it is obviously so perfectly structured that Krishna ends this chapter giving a link to the next chapter. Now, let's see the English of these two verses, and I will pinpoint certain words. Try to remember these words because with these words, the next chapter will begin. Okay, Krishna says, intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are usually Brahman, word number 1, because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. Okay, 3 words here. Now, Brahman in Sanskrit is directly Brahma. Adhyatmam is transcendental. Karma is activities. Then he makes another statement. He says, those in full consciousness of me who know me as the Supreme Lord to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigods and of all the methods of sacrifice can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. So some more words. He says, governing principle of material manifestation, governing principle of the demigods, and the Lord of all methods of sacrifice, even at the time of death. So these are some words. I'll say that in Sanskrit. Adi Bhuta, Adi Devam, Adi Yajnam, Prayana Kale. Okay, so remember these. So we'll put them together. These are some terms Krishna says. He talks about the people who are interested in liberation. And he quotes a few words. Brahman, Adhyatmam, Karma, Adi Bhuta, Adi Devam, Adi Yajnam, Prayana Kale. Okay, now did you all understand anything? I didn't understand anything. But Krishna and even Arjuna didn't understand anything, actually. Not just us, even Arjuna didn't understand anything when he made these two statements. But Arjuna is very smart. He's going to ask questions. Okay, it's very important to ask questions. Otherwise, knowledge will never be revealed without asking questions. So Arjuna is going to ask, what are all these? You just defined a few things. You said Adhyatmam, you said Karma, you said Adi Yajnam, Adi Daivam, Adi Bhuta. So what is all this? And that's how the next chapter starts. So obviously, you're not going to get into the details of what it is because then you won't log in for next chapter. So log in for the next chapter. So life lesson for this section. Simply to believe that God is there, God exists, that is not enough. We should go a step further and try to understand his nature and personality. You know, it is very interesting that our Sanatana Dharma, our Vedic literatures are so rich with knowledge. They give us so much information, not just that there is God. In most scriptures, you will just understand that there is a higher power, there is God, God exists, that's it. Not many scriptures really reveal who God is, what is his name, what is his address, what is his form, who are his associates, what will you do when you attain God. Not many scriptures give that information, but our scriptures give that information. So it is very important for us just not to believe in God, say, oh, I have faith in God. No, try to understand who he is and develop a connection with him. Then your life is successful. So that is the first life lesson we all should learn. Okay. The next one is to know and to accept God, we must take knowledge, which is very important. We should have proper research with guidance, meaning we should not search for knowledge by ourselves, in some random place. In a proper bona fide manner, we should receive knowledge. Knowledge is very important for religion. Okay, just sentimental acceptance of something will not last long. Just if you're driven by sentiments, oh, you know what? Under a tree, I saw a little stone. I went to that stone and I offered a flower. The next day, I got $100. So that stone is everything. This is only sentiment. Is it there in any scripture like that? It is only sentiment. You should have proper knowledge, and Bhagavad Gita is giving you that knowledge. Krishna is telling everything about himself. Who can be more magnanimous than the Lord? So we should take full advantage of it. When we buy something on Amazon, what do? We go and read all the reviews. We see which is the product that has 5-star reviews, right? We do so much research just to buy a small product that will last us 1 year. Now, when we try to learn about God, we should go to the right university. We should go to the right scripture. We should go to the people who have researched fully about it and who are giving the knowledge in the proper disciplic succession. So knowledge is important. The source of the knowledge, how we receive this knowledge, everything is extremely important for the practice of devotional service. So that is the reason this section of bhakti first starts with knowledge. Get your facts right, and then your practice will also be right. Here is the summary of this entire chapter. Okay, the acronym was HEAD, head, hearing. First thing, Krishna says, hear from me, touch Shruno, hear from me. I'm going to tell you everything. And then he says, realize knowledge is kind of hard to get, but at least you start with some knowledge. Okay, understand my opulence, understand who I am, understand my greatness, and eventually you will also understand my sweetness. And then for E, he says, I'm present everywhere. I'm the basis of this universe. There is Parashakti, Aparashakti. The jivas are there, the material universe is there, but I maintain everyone, just like the pearl necklace. I'm the thread that holds up the pearls. Then HEA, accept or reject, right? Accept or reject. There are different kinds of people. I've given free will to everyone. Some people, they reject me, they don't want me, fine. There are some who are Sukritinas, who are pious people. They come to me. And through devotee association, they advance. They take shelter in me. And a Mahatma is very rare. A person who says, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. He is very rare. But everyone can progress by taking suitable association. Then finally, the demigods. Meaning, he says, there are others also who do improper surrender. Some people, they surrender to demigods. The boons that demigods give is actually temporary. It is not long lasting, because this entire existence within this universe is also temporary, meaning we keep going from one birth to the other. So if we are stuck with demigods, we are pretty much stuck within this universe. So birth after birth, again and again, birth and death, birth and death, birth and death, and it's never ending. So don't do that. Directly come to me, take shelter unto me, I'll take care of you. There are others, personalists, they think I am temporary. So that is really foolish. Please don't think I am temporary, I am transcendental. And then he says, I reserve my right to reveal myself to whom I want to. I mean, if I want to reveal myself to a devotee, I will do it. But to some people, I remain covered because I don't want to reveal myself. He's a person, he has his right to do what he wants. And then Krishna, he defines some terms. He talks about Brahma, Adhyatma, Karma, Adibhuta, Adideva, Adiyajna, and Prayana Kale. He talks about people who want to attain liberation. What all they he talks about them. Basically, he speaks 2 verses about the people who want to attain liberation, and he doesn't define yet, he just states, he just mentions these terms. And in the next chapter, as Arjuna questions him, he will give great details about these different terminologies. So that was this chapter, very simple chapter, and I am 10 minutes over. Okay. Any questions? Feel free to ask questions. I'll do my best. And if not, others are there to help. Please text or raise hand or unmute, however you want. If you're too shy, you can text.
Yeah, they can unmute now.
Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Preethi Vilasini Mataji, for the beautiful session. And I especially like the life lessons that you quoted in every section. And the last one was really amazing. And we all could relate to it, that when we want to buy something, we always look for the reviews. And that item, an object doesn't last forever. And when it comes to spirituality, we just don't look for it and we just join something. So we should be really, knowledgeable and, like think before we do something. So thank you for that. And yes, devotees, please type your questions, raise your hands. Okay, we can see Ritesh Prabhu. Ritesh Prabhu, you can go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Actually, I'm using my husband's login. So
No worries.
my name is Pavitra Lalita. Thank you again so much for the lovely class. I had one confusion. So Krishna talks about the 4 kinds of people who surrender to him. So one is the inquisitive and the other is the one who inquires about the absolute truth. I'm not sure I understand the difference between the two exactly, because inquisitive people also inquire, right? And then inquiring people also inquire. So what's the difference?
Okay. So the 4 kinds of people are the inquisitive and the jnani. Jnani means one who is directly searching for Krishna. The inquisitive, they are just inquisitive about knowing the higher truth and they are trying. But a person who's already fixed in the knowledge of absolute is a jnani. Like, for example, you can try to understand this with the examples that are given. Like, for example, Shukadeva Goswami, he was a transcendentalist already, right? He was already transcendental, but he was an impersonalist. He was an impersonalist, meaning he was thinking everything is Brahman. But when he heard about the sweetness of the Bhagavatam, when he heard about Krishna, then his mind ran to Krishna. It ran to the personal form of Krishna. So he's a jnani. He's already situated in the right spot. I mean, he's already there. He's almost there. He's just like one step away. All that he needed was a little spark from Vyasadeva to develop devotion to Krishna. But the inquisitive, like the sages in the Naimi Sharanya forest, they were actually looking for doing the highest good. Okay, and they were trying to do several sacrifices and they wanted to mitigate the ill effects of the age of Kali. But then when they heard from Sutta Goswami about the Bhagavatam, they understood that the ultimate good is actually Shravanam Kirtanam and the glories of spreading the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, doing good for the soul, right? So there is a difference. An inquisitive person is generally inquisitive, whereas a transcendentalist, a jnani, is almost there. He's almost fixed to knowledge. Everything is okay, but he just needs a little training towards devotion. Did that help, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, that helped a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. A very wonderful class, Mataji. Lot of practical examples given. I just have one question, Mataji. Trying to understand this point on a practical sense. Like, say, suppose we perform devotional service to the maximum extent on a particular day. Say, suppose, like if we take Radhashtami, for example, yesterday I performed a lot of devotion. I'm just giving an example. I performed a lot of devotional service and the day went very well. And the next day I'm very tired in the morning and I'm unable to wake up. So does that mean I'm in the mode of ignorance and I'm unable to, get my duties going just like the previous day?
See, Mataji, the truth is we are all in this mode of material nature only. As long as we have a body, these modes of material nature keep troubling us. However, we try our best to take shelter of Krishna so that Krishna can pull us out of these modes of material nature. Yes, as you said, some days are very spiritual, some days are very difficult because we have this body, right? We have this body, and body related problems will be there as long as we are in this material world. But we should strive. We should strive very sincerely. That's all. We should try to regulate and strive very sincerely, and Krishna will certainly help us.
All right. All right. Thank you, Mataji. Got it.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. N.
Mataji, the last 5 or 6 words you explained, I got like confused because what is really, I didn't write it down.
I can show you. You can just write it down, but you're going to hear the explanation in the next chapter, okay?
Okay.
So I'm not going to explain that, otherwise you'll lose the fun of listening to the next chapter. Hold on. Here. So the ones that are highlighted in pink, these are the words, or I can even show it in the flow chart. I think in the flow chart we have them listed out here. Krishna mentions Brahma, Adhyatma, Karma, Adi Bhuta, Adi Deva, Adi Yajna, and Prayanakali. And then he's going to get into great details about this because Arjuna asked, oh Krishna, what is all this? Like how you're all wondering, what is all this? Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, do we get the PDF of this for future reference?
Yeah. We are sending the PDF on the group. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Are you on the group, Mataji? WhatsApp group?
Yes, Mataji, I'm in the one.
Okay, then we are sending the recording as well as the PDF of all the slides, like all the chapters.
Yeah, I did not see for chapter 6, so I was
Okay,
wondering.
then probably I'll send it again.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Preeti. Very beautiful class. I logged in, after some time I didn't realize a lot of things happening here. Then I'm like, oh my God, I should not miss this class. And whatever I heard, very beautiful. I think I heard from the 20th verse onwards. And so beautiful explanations and the nice flow and everything was perfect, the slides and all. So thank you so much, Preeti. I just wanted to come here.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Suksanti Mataji. Thank you so much.
There's just one more dimension. I just wanted to add to that Mataji's question. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah, regarding the inquisitive and the jnani, what I've heard, because this question is almost always asked in the Bhakti Shastri class.
Yes.
So one explanation my teacher gave was that the inquisitive is like, sometimes we fall sick or something bad happens to us and we kind of get inquisitive and question, why is this happening? What's the cause of this? Who's behind all this? That's like the inquisitive person. And, and after some time the problem goes away, then he's not so keen again, to get transcendental knowledge or trying to look for things. But then the jnani, the person, the transcendental, the person in knowledge, he is actually looking for the philosophical truths. He's actually after, the absolute, he's after the transcendental knowledge. So that person, like you said, he wants to know. It's not like it's a temporary thing which comes up in his mind, but he really wants to learn and know the transcendental science. So that is the jnani. So that's why in the other verse, I think Lord Krishna says that the jnani is more dear to him because, he's seeking transcendental knowledge, whereas the inquisitive may just forget, after his problem is solved. So this is one other dimension I've heard about these two terms, two kinds of devotees.
Thank you for making that very clear, Mataji. Thank you. That was very nicely put. Thank you. Thank you for adding.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so there is one person asked. Any other questions on the chat? I don't see any questions specifically. Okay, sure. So we can end the call then, Mataji.
Yeah, thank you so much, Preethi Vilasni, once again for the beautiful session. And thank you everyone for joining us consistently. You know, your presence in the call inspires so much. So thank you so much, and please keep it up. Look like we are few more chapters away. And yeah, so we can end up today's class. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhuvaiva cha patithanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Hare Krishna, Hare Vilasni Mataji ki jai. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Such a wonderful session. Hare Bol.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Beautiful class. Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. You end the call, Mataji. Indu Mataji, my computer got stuck suddenly.
Yes, Mataji, I'll take host one second.
Yeah, take Mataji. Suddenly it got stuck.
Okay, wait one second. Yes, I will end the call here. Hare Krishna.